Right. Welcome, everybody, to our Hideaways IGTV photographer series. Today, we are sharing the conversation stage with an amazing photographer. His name is Stephen Chikosi, and he is from Zimbabwe. So sharing stories, sharing pictures from a place very close to my own heart, being home. So welcome, Stephen. Thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me.
How's home?
Well, home is home, so home is always the best. So home is great. Yeah.
Your pictures have given me homesickness, but also given me such appreciation for where we come from. Zimbabwe is just an amazing country. So you're very lucky to be there. And thank you for being here to represent it today. So before we actually begin, I would like to give a shout out to all the Zimbabweans. And of course, to the Zimbabweans who are the custodians of wild spaces and on the forefront of conservation, which is something that we'll get into a little bit later, which is something that Stephen is involved in as well. So as a documentary photographer and videographer, Stephen is on a mission to tell the stories of the daily lives of Africans in general, but Zimbabweans specifically, sort of in an approach of impact photography. So Stephen, can you tell us a little bit how you got into photography and what does impact photography actually mean?
Yeah. So, how I actually got into photography, it was out of curiosity. It was me trying to see more. So I don't know at what stage, if I was born short-sighted but I figured it out much later. So I was always trying to see more and to see more clearer. So, I had this fascination with camera lenses, especially zoom lenses, so it was only until much later, I guess, around my 5th grade or somewhere there, where my teacher was like, no, there's something wrong with your eyes. You need to definitely go and be checked. So, and even going into photography has always been that curiosity, wanting to see more, wanting to figure out more. So I try to look at more than what's there,
Yeah, and I love that, Stephen. I love the idea of trying to see more, especially since we've just come out of this time where we have been restricted in what we've been able to see. We've literally had either like 4 walls or your back garden, and other than online, our lives in front of us, we haven't been able to see more. And I think from looking at your pictures, what you have such a skill in is finding the beauty in the simplicity around you, like finding the stories in your backyard, in your community, on the streets, in your home, and then in the conservation areas, which maybe you can give us some tips on how to capture these moments so that we all are able to see a little more of what's around us.
Right. Okay.
So Stephen, you've done some amazing work. I mean, you've worked with CNN, you've worked with the BBC, you've had exhibitions at the National Gallery, New York Times, African Lens, and I just want to say, congratulations for representing Zimbabwe and coming, such talent coming out of Zimbabwe. It's always so wonderful to see.
Thank you. I'm lucky to be doing this.
Do you have any role models? Did you have any photographic role models as you were teaching yourself?
So yes, I would. I wouldn't say I had names that I can call out as role models, but for me, what it was is whatever. If it's artwork I see around the home or around my environment, if it's any work of art, I'd definitely be trying to go into that, into the mind of the creator and try to say, okay, what were they thinking? I wonder what were they seeing, and so that has been maybe possibly more of what inspired me, work of other people, different crafts and not just photography.
Yeah. So artists in general are sort of your role models, how
Yeah,
people see things differently, how people express differently, and perhaps how you can then put that into your own photography.
yeah, true. Yeah,
So
that's true.
we're here to be inspired by you today, which is very exciting.
That's great. That's great.
So in travel and at Hideaways, especially during this time, we've been looking at how travel can be impactful. So when
Yeah,
I came across you as an impact photographer, it really struck a chord. And with me loving to write stories, also using the paintbrush to create stories, and you use your images to create stories. Um, how do you find how do you seek the power in a story? What images do you see that you feel have a powerful story to tell?
okay. Yeah, so I think part of because it's all about noticing things. So before you can notice things, you have to have interest in whatever it is. So if the subject is people, you have to really be someone who cares deeply about people to notice
Mm-hmm.
things about them, and that's how you can possibly draw out the story from them. When you notice that, okay, this guy, um, you know, there's something about the way he does this kind of thing. And in that, there might be a story. So the more you're comfortable with them, the more uh, you know, make them feel, let their guard down, make them feel comfortable to talk to you. You can bring out those things out of them.
So that was actually my next question: is
Uh,
how do you make people comfortable? Because I remember, so coming from Big Falls, I was in Timber with another photographer,
yeah,
and I said to him, I was like, let's take some pictures, let's tell the stories of what's going on beyond the borders of the town, and he said people are quite resistant to have their photo taken, to just have these behind the scenes stories told of everyday lives. So how do you make people comfortable? Because being Zimbabweans, we know that there are a lot of stories that are not being told.
yeah. I think it comes from clarity. Okay, so clarity on what exactly it is you want to achieve by telling their story. So
Mm-hmm.
once you are clear as the photographer, you now can portray that to them. And once
Mm-hmm.
someone is clear on why you want to tell their story, they'll give you more access than you need. They
Yeah,
just need
that's
that
true.
clarity. So yeah, I find
Yeah.
that's what's important.
And I think now that times have been highlighted in terms of sharing in a community and sharing what we've been going through, maybe people
Yeah.
will be more open to saying, well, this is what I've been going through. This is my life. This is, see more of my life here, and I see more of yours, and we can learn from each other.
Yeah, and I'd like to say even on that, some might not want to have their story told, and
Mm-hmm.
that in itself is a story.
Yeah.
That in
Yeah.
itself is a story. Yeah, so it's
Well,
to
I
find what works best. Yeah,
yeah, it's finding the stories that's interesting. And having looked at your pictures, I've actually been looking around. It's changed my perception. I've been looking around at much smaller, much closer things in my personal world, and it's been so lovely to document those and just notice what's going on around you,
yeah.
which I think has been a really important lesson recently. So what we're going to do is I've got a slideshow of some of your pictures, and we're just going to go through them. Let me open it up here. We're going to go through them, and if you can just explain how you found these pictures and what you found beautiful in these pictures and why you took the photograph. Tell us the stories behind the pictures. So are you able to see this first one?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So this
Yeah,
one really intrigued me because I don't know what's going on here. So please, can you tell us the story about this picture?
yeah. So this was at a homestead in rural Zimbabwe, somewhere in Zaka area. So you get there, and this is the first thing that you see. There's this big tree, and I really love trees. I always take photos of trees as well. So I'm just like trying to see how best I could take a photo of this tree, and then I noticed that there's this hyena skin on the.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what it is. And so, based on some of my work, because which is something I'd like to talk about as well, is how the best work is your personal work, is work that is that you have a personal stake in. So if you create work based on that, so I found this interesting because I have this ongoing thing, a story that I'm documenting on hyena. It's called Bear.
Yeah, tell us about it, Stephen. I would really like to know. So it's sort of the human-wildlife conflict story behind this picture.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So, and that has always been my interest when it comes to conservation and things with wildlife and the environment, is how humans interact with animals and the habitat. So I found it interesting that they had this thing there, but so the hyena project that I'm doing is really to kind of question the, all these mentalities and how people think around a hyena and what it really is versus what it really is. So you find it's one of the most despised animals, and you find all these articles sometimes in the newspapers and things, like
it doesn't have a very good rep, the hyena.
Exactly. So
and and therefore, because of that reputation, the way that people interact with it is probably problematic. There's not a lot of care. Yeah,
right. And that's what this documentary seeks to show. It seeks to show how people view it and what it really is. In doing this, I actually found out that the hyena is a very good parent. It's got very good parenting skills and things like that. Yeah.
So in this picture, you also see how closely humans and wildlife, how closely they live. So how did the skin land up in the tree?
So these guys are right in the middle of nowhere, so they occasionally have attacks from lions, hyenas, and I guess this was one of the hyenas they took down, and he was so proud of it. And so for me, trying to go through, is there a better way? Can there be a better way with them? But this was them showing that, this is what we've done, and we
almost like a medal, like we've
exactly
survived,
exactly.
we've protected ourselves. So we've just spoken to another incredible organization in Zambia called Elephants Without Borders, and they are working with rural communities on educating them how to keep the elephants out of their homesteads and out of their vegetable gardens.
Right.
But in a way that doesn't hurt the elephants. So maybe through your documentary, you can come up with some solutions for the hyenas as well.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So where is this picture taken? I feel it might be Victoria Falls because it looks very familiar to me, but can you speak us through this picture a little bit? It's such a picture of home.
Yeah, so this, and it's good that you say that, because this picture, what it shows is we are one big community. So this was in Mozambique, but it's close to the border of Zimbabwe. So, and I like that you say it actually feels like it's home. So, and those are the things which resonated with me. It's like I can tell that, okay, I'm in a different country, but a neighboring country, but we still have the same kind of dynamics at play, and
the same livelihoods, the same lifestyles, the same struggles, the same sharing a world, a life, an African way.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
Yeah, and what spoke to me as well is I've taken so many photos of the ladies carrying water
Oh, yes, good
on
point.
top of their heads. So
Yes.
here, this gentleman is carrying for this woman, and so for me, that was like special. I was like, you know what, we
That
need
is
more.
different.
We
Yeah.
need more images like this.
Gentlemen, are you listening? So I really love this picture, Stephen. It just, the simplicity, the colors, and just him on his own really stood out for me. Who is he and where is he?
So this is a chief. This was after the cyclone, Idai. Yeah, so he's a survivor, and so he was telling his story. So what I like about this, when what I love about what I do is, I have, I'm much younger than him in so many ways, and connecting with him to a level that he can start sharing his story and pour his heart out. For me, I live for moments like that. So it's about it's about staying long enough and saying the right things, and
and
showing
creating
him
that relationship that allows
exactly
for the story to
right,
come out.
right, yeah.
Amazing. So is he rebuilding his home here, or?
So yes, he's a lot of his house was destroyed, and so this is him trying to. This is not his home, but it's
Okay, part of the
yes,
community.
it's part of the homestead, and so in fact, this was not. All this is what was left actually from the cyclone, and now they're trying to rethatch it. It's sort of like a place where people can come in and sit, and they have these meetings and things like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure. This picture just sort of emanates resilience. Like, okay, this has happened. Let's continue. Let's go forward, which is such an African way as well. It's amazing.
True.
So being Zimbabwean, this is obviously quite a profound picture, and the colors and the message from the Coke bottles to the president to the Guinea Fowl running across, it really struck a chord for me. So when and where was this?
Okay, so this is one of those images which is kind of not the usual type of work that I do. So with a lot of documentary work, you document as is, you document things as is. But this was an image where, yes, this is a real guinea fowl, and yes, all these things were set up in that way, but it is actually a set I created. And and so we had this yes, we had it to work in that kind of way, and it's actually based on a film that I'm working on as well. And it's titled Stephen.
So I think, I mean, you often find your stories just through images that are happening in daily life, but setting up this picture was depicting the daily life of Zimbabweans at the time. So the message behind it is still as strong. And also the colors and the composition is very striking and really resonates with people.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful picture. It says a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, it does.
So, Stephen, I wanted to talk into your work in conservation. So you work a lot with the Zambezi Elephant Fund in Mana Pools. And at the moment, the Zambezi Elephant Fund is actually doing their annual run to raise funds for the elephants. And this year it has to be virtual. And I understand you have done your run.
I have, yes.
Well done. I'm aiming to do mine by Saturday.
That's great.
So this picture here, can you speak us through it? It's the anti-poaching unit on their patrol.
Yes. So what it is really, the Zambezi Elephant Fund has a lot of partners who do a lot of different types of work in the valley. And so this was actually a training course for the rangers. They empower them so that they can be ready to meet with all the challenges of being in the bush. There's always the threat of poachers who are trying to come in. And so when you go out there to do that kind of work, you're waiting for that moment, that image that speaks to you, that speaks on who they are and what they're doing. So this was one of those moments where, I saw them going through, and I was like, what, this is that image, and the reflections of them, it actually also makes you reflect, because these guys are putting their lives on the line, to save our heritage, to save, our wildlife. And
I've actually I've got goosebumps, because I mean, to spend time with these men, there's so much courage there, and there's so much. We spoke about resilience earlier. They are constantly in the wild, like you say, putting their lives on the line, not just with poachers, but with wild animals. And they cover miles a day, like kilometers every single day. And it's also emotionally and mentally, they have to be completely aware. They're doing anti-tracking and looking for snares, and I mean, this picture has so much to tell. The guy at the back, I don't know, it's amazing, and you can see how much they do and how much they put into this. And again, just to acknowledge and say thank you to these men, to the anti-poaching units in the various different organizations. We have our own at Hideaways, and maybe one day you can come and take some photographs of our anti-poaching unit, of our CWF in Guinea National Park, because they're doing amazing things. And with lockdown and with tourism stopping, there's a lot of funding that is stopped. And these men also rely on that funding to continue doing the work that they do. So this is incredible. And this is just one of the photographs of what they are protecting. So is this in Mana?
Yes, this was in the Zambezi Valley area, close to Gachi camp. And I actually got very, very close to this elephant with one of the rangers called Peter. Such an amazing ranger. I mean, I've had so many conversations with people all over to the time, that I've started doing this, that I do. But, I can say some of the most engaging and exciting conversations, and insightful as well, conversations that I've had are with the rangers. They do amazing work. They do amazing work.
And the experiences that they have, and the way that they understand the bush, and the way that they understand the animals and the seasons. And this is such a lovely picture, because that tree, I think it's an Aeroloba, those little red pods are like biscuits for elephants. They go and they shake the tree, and then they just have a feast. So it's really it's such a nostalgic picture. So this is you getting up close and personal to some ellies. I'm not quite sure where it is. And then just representing, maybe last year, you can tell me more about this picture, for the Zambezi Elephant Fund run.
So the first picture, the one to my left, that was me, locally doing some work and getting close to these elephants. And the other one is in New York. And what I found interesting is how, sometimes we take it for granted, the value of and the opportunity that we have to be in a space like Zimbabwe, where you can experience wildlife in the way that we do. Because I was photographing with that lady, and she wanted to hear more stories about the elephants and everything. And for me, it was just it was really a time to reflect and say, you know what, I need to consciously spend more time appreciating wildlife, and also to support in any way that I can, those that have put their lives to, that cause. So yes, and also I know earlier you asked me about legends and people who I look up to. When I went to New York, as I got out of Penn Station, I met one of the oldest street photographers in New York City.
Oh, wow.
Street, yeah, and I've been following his work for ages, and he was the first guy I meet when I get there, and that was amazing too. Yeah, that was amazing.
It was meant to be. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
So you could share your stories of Africa, and he was sharing his stories on the streets of New York.
It's true. It's true. Yeah.
Maybe we can start the streets of Zimbabwe, Stephen, and sharing the lives of people. We can start something, sharing the lives of people on the streets of Zimbabwe.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You can take some inspiration from him.
Exactly.
So this last photograph is very nostalgic for me, because living in Victoria Falls, there is always the possibility of an elephant stepping out onto the street. So this is a daily life, a picture of the daily life of Zimbabweans. And often driving down the street, we had to take a different turn or turn around or wait for traffic, but the traffic being an elephant or an elephant herd. So where is this picture, and who is in the car?
Okay, so yes, this is actually in Kariba, which is another area where, this is a random car that was going past, and you can see there are people in the back set there, the Zimbabwean way. So yeah. So, but what for me, what this photo represents, a lot of people want to show wildlife, human and wildlife conflict in a negative way, and it's also good. It serves its purpose. It's some kind of advocacy and things like that. But I also wanted to show how much of a privilege it is to live in a place like this, where you can have an elephant in the corner and you just drive past, and this was that moment where it happened. I was right there, and I shot this photo. So I feel like it's a unique opportunity, to live in an area like Victoria Falls or an area like Kariba. It's it's something special, and we should actually.
Yeah, like you say, we take it for granted, and you land up being blasé. You land up just driving past, or going, another elephant, sort of thing. But it is a good moment to appreciate and reflect on how incredible it is to be able to drive past and see these amazing animals amongst the trees, and just stepping out and sharing your life with these animals. It's very much a sharing, and the lives are very interlinked. And bringing that back to the importance of conservation education in terms of human wildlife conflict for the animals and people being able to live in harmony. So Stephen, what camera do you use? Just so we can learn how to capture everyday pictures as you do, and so that we can get involved in seeing more.
Okay, so yes, I use Sony cameras, mirrorless cameras, because they're light and they're easy to carry around. I've got a Sony here, but I also use my phone a lot. Because what I've tried to do, and what I try to even, when a lot of people ask, how do you do this and how do you do that? Yes, it's good to share, and I share as much as I know and as much as I've picked up. But I feel a lot of moments are lost in trying to, focus on the gear that you're using, and so all what I tend to do is, whatever camera I have on my hand, I'm not carrying my camera on me all the time, but my phone, a lot of times I've taken amazing images using my phone. So it's really get to know whatever device you have, spend some time with it, experiment, try different things out of your usual space. So when an opportunity for a great image comes, you won't be found, trying to figure out, how do I do this? How do I do this? Because enough time with it. Yeah. So I think that's what's mostly important. Yeah.
Which is fantastic for all of us to hear who are aspiring photographers or who just amateurs looking for stories and wanting to capture our own lives, because these camera phones are amazing and they can take really good pictures. You don't have to invest. You don't have to, break your budget to be able to take these incredible pictures and tell these stories.
Yeah, that is true. I'd like to say one of the most rewarding things I've done, or one of the most rewarding projects I've done, is mentoring a bunch of I think there were about 8 young girls, and they really had basic cameras, basic phone cameras and things. But with that, they brought out such amazing work that you'll be surprised that it came out of them.
And being able to share those stories, like I'm now thinking of, we go and visit a village in Dete, just outside Wangi National Park, and we spend some time with a rural community there, and we work with the school there, Dingani Primary School.
Right.
And I'm just thinking, like, if we were able to get the locals of Dete to just take pictures of what's going on in their daily lives, the stories that they could share that we don't know what's happening. And it's such a beautiful little village. I remember driving through there, and I'm actually going to send you the picture because I'm also very proud of it.
Right.
We were just driving through there, and it was December time. So, those beautiful, dark, stormy December skies, and the rain's building up. And there was a rainbow that sort of came and just ended on a dirt road in the middle of nowhere. And there was a little kid running down the road towards their homestead. And it was just such a beautiful, simple, but powerful image.
Yeah,
so those are the stories we want to collect of those everyday lives. Like,
it's true. They're
so simple, but they're so beautiful.
Yeah, and empowering those kids in those communities, what it does is you are giving them the tools that they need to appreciate and notice the beauty that is around them. You're giving them the tools to tell their own story, and they're going to be able to share insights, like you said, of things that you would never get to see, but they see because they stay there, they stay in those areas.
And just opening their perspective to seeing that these are beautiful stories. It's not just every day; they actually have an important thing to say. So we had a really great conversation yesterday with another Instagram influencer, author, journalist. So she's a storyteller as well, but more through words than images. And we were talking about conservation education and talking about getting children to see their surroundings in a way that they feel pride and they feel they want to share what's going on around them because it's beautiful. And that should instill the idea of conserving it and saving it and treating it with care, like creating a culture of care. So maybe what we can do, Stephen, is we can get you up to Wangi and maybe to Dete and spend some time with the kids and show them and the community and show them how to take pictures and how to create impactful messages that they can do alone. You don't have to be someone of influence.
Yeah, no, that would be great. That is more, around the kind of things that I love. I'm not one to be too technical in terms of cameras and things. And even though I've learned all that because of the time that I've spent doing this, but I'm very passionate in, a beginner, how can they, just use whatever device they have, simple things like framing, how to allow light and all the basic kind of things, so that would be really great. Yeah.
So I'll meet you there in December when borders open.
Definitely. Yeah.
So Stephen, I feel like a lot of our conversation has been about you reframing how people interact with wildlife. You reframing how to find stories in a very simple space. And I want to thank you for that. That's a beautiful skill to share. And I'm very excited to meet you and learn some more stuff from you in December. I have one last question. Well, a couple of last questions is, Has being a Zimbabwean influenced your work in any way or your perspective in any way, do you think? In terms of finding stories, in terms of needing to tell stories?
Yes, I guess, I guess being Zimbabwean has sort of made me more creative in how I dig for the story, and how I can navigate around difficult stories. And also it has helped me to try and find the good, because sometimes, you're always thinking everything is negative and there won't be any good, but you can still find the good. And so
that got me a little emotional.
it is. It is.
So true.
Yeah. So yeah, that is, I think, what being Zimbabwean has done to me. So even because I haven't done work in Zimbabwe only, I've traveled a little bit around the region, but when I go there, I carry this creativity, this and this find a way to make things work attitude. Yeah, I carry it around.
That's actually, it's so true, and it's such a wonderful Zimbabwean trait. In finding the good in dark situations, because Zimbabwe has been through a lot of negative spaces, but the people do manage to find the beauty, and that's such a wonderful thing to reflect on. And that makes us all very proud to be Zimbabwean as well.
It does.
You're representing humanity from your lens, and that's a very powerful, wonderful thing.
Thank you.
So the last question is, what is your next project or next adventure?
I really am thinking of spending more and more time out in the bush. So that is going to be so I'm working on a currently working on a few things. I've got a few documentary projects, like I have one of people with albinism that I'm working on. I have the Mary documentary, the hyena one, and things like that, among other things. But I feel like, to get people to appreciate the value of the wildlife, you have to show them, and you also have to show them the stories. The last time I was in the Zambezi Valley, and we were picking up a ranger who was going on call, and so we picked him up from the camp where they stay. And in that moment, I didn't have my camera on, and sometimes it happens. So I didn't have my camera on me, but I just saw this image which stayed with me, and it's still, it stuck with me for the longest. So this ranger, he hugs his wife and his kids, and they very, you can tell, in that interaction, that they very well know this could be the last time that they see him. But he's going out there, to protect the wildlife, to protect them, and to work for them, to give, so that they can have some kind of, so
this is like the story behind the story of conservation, behind the story of the poachers, is the anti-poaching unit, are their families and what their families go through, and that moment is such an important moment.
It is.
And I'm sure through all the different projects that you've spoken through, I feel like you've got a lot of important messages that you're sharing.
Thank you.
From the albinism to the conservation to to the human wildlife conflict with the hyenas. That's going to be a very important documentary to share and to reframe people's minds. So that's really incredible. Well, you've inspired me absolutely, Stephen, and I'm very proud to be a Zimbabwean standing next to you as a Zimbabwean. And I really hope we do get to meet in December, and you come to our Hideaways lodges and meet the communities and our anti-poaching units and help share those stories as well. So
that would be great.
Thank you so much for sharing the conversation stage with me today and sharing your images as well.
Thanks for having me. It's been great.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right.
Bye.